Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today as we discuss Better Mining's 2022 Impact Report. We are very excited to have over 100 people that have registered for today's webinar, which is being recorded, and we will be making it available soon after. We are going to try to save some time for Q&A at the end, but if we do not have the time, you can always send us an email and we will be more than happy to answer any questions or chat about partnerships or other ways we can collaborate. Today's webinar comes after having just published Better Mining's 2022 Impact Report, as well as Better Mining's OECD Step 5 report for the year 2021. Both reports are available to download from our website, and we will be publishing the French versions of these reports shortly after. Just to clarify a little bit and explain the difference between these two, the impact report, which we will be discussing in more detail today, is aligned with the UK financial year, and it covers a time period that runs from the beginning of April 2021 to the end of March 2022. On the other hand, the OECD Step 5 report is aligned with Dodd-Frank conflict minerals reporting timelines. The OECD Step 5 report is published and is intended to be a useful source of information that supports SEC-covered companies in their conflict minerals reporting. And therefore, it has a strong focus on the OECD due diligence guidance Annex 2 risks. The impact report, which is the focus of today's webinar, highlights the impact that Better Mining has had and continues to have through its presence and its activities in the ASM sector. This year's impact report and today's webinar is structured around three main themes, which we will be presenting. Each of these themes will be preceded or followed by contributions from our panel of speakers that I will be introducing shortly. The themes that we cover in this year's impact report are three. The first one being the improvement of conditions at ASM mine sites. And we have three notable success stories in the fight against child labor, in the advancement of women's rights, as well as in achieving improved human rights conditions at ASM sites by managing security risks. The second of the themes that we will be talking about today is advancing digitalization and how this furthers transparency in the supply chain. And the last of the themes is building the local capacity of ASM stakeholders. Notably, we go over the work we do with mining cooperatives and how this local capacity building drives the uptake of better practices in the upstream. As you can see today, we have a fantastic panel of speakers, and I'd like to first of all thank all of them for their contributions and for making the time to join us. We are very excited to have Daniella Savic from UNICEF, as well as Fred Gersdorff from General Motors, who will be speaking to us about a groundbreaking approach to tackle child labor in ASM mining communities, as well as about corporate efforts to build sustainable supply chains that are going beyond compliance. We also have Kerri Abbott and Erin Mitchell from Ford Motor Company and from Intel Corporation, who were unable to join us at this time, but have been kind enough to send us their contributions in advance. On the Better Mining side, I am very pleased to be accompanied by two members of my excellent team. We have Eugénie Valentin, who is a senior project manager and will be walking us through some of Better Mining success stories that I referred to earlier. And we also have Armel Nganzi, who is a regional director for Better Mining, and he leads our work with the teams on the ground. To start us off and to frame today's conversation, I'd like to just highlight a few milestones from a year of great progress. These are a few of the key figures that are published in the impact report, and I'm just going to quickly run through them here just to frame our conversation today. We reached the milestone of having issued our 1000th ASM corrective action at mine sites. This is quite a substantive achievement, and of these 1000 corrective actions, about 900 of them have already been completed or are in progress. Quite closely linked to this, we are also proud to have completed our 140th corrective action plan workshop. These are multi-stakeholder workshops that take place at each of the sites that are monitored by Better Mining, and they take place every month. The corrective actions and the workshops to discuss those and review those would not be possible or were informed by the recording of over 2,000 incidents across 26 different risk areas. And all that is work that our teams in the DRC and in Rwanda are doing every day. This past year, or the 12 months considered for the impact report, were also a year of growth and expansion. Better Mining now serves over 55,000 ASM miners, and this is after having expanded to 5 new mine sites during the year. And that brings us to our current total of 48 ASM sites, 32 of which were active during the reporting period. With these numbers, what this means is that Better Mining now is covering approximately 20% of active cobalt ASM sites in the DRC, as well as an industrially relevant portion of tin, tungsten, and tantalum and gold ASM sites in both the DRC and Rwanda. We're very proud of this progress, and in the report and during today's webinar, we are going to be discussing these and other achievements in more detail. And with that serving as a frame for our webinar today, I would like to introduce our first speaker now, who is Fred Gersdorff from General Motors. So Fred, over to you.
Thanks, Anna. Thank you all for getting this opportunity to come in and speak about the work that we're doing within GM in terms of responsible materials. We have been on a journey over the last several years, evolving our program and embracing the challenge of going beyond compliance. With this journey, it's been important for us to focus deeper and deeper in the supply chain, ultimately getting back to the mine sites, and that's why we're all here today. Through this journey, we've gained additional knowledge of the responsible sourcing challenges, and we've identified opportunities to do even more to ensure that the materials going into our vehicles are responsibly sourced at the highest levels. So we joined Better Mining last year, and that gave us the ability to collaborate with an organization, as many of you know, that has great on-the-ground view of ASM sites, which is very important to us, and an organization who works locally with partners and generates very important data from those engagements. Better Mining has given us a pathway to have a systematic improvement impact in this ASM sector, which is such an important sector. Anna, going back to one of the achievements that you showed on the last slide, I think it speaks to all of the work that this group has been doing and the impact that you're making. The one that I would point out is the milestone where you've registered the completion of your 1,000th recommended ASM site level improvement activity. When we talk about working on the ground and making a difference, it's through those activities where that actually happens. So kudos to the team, and that's a huge accomplishment. So if I talk about ESG strategy at GM, our ESG strategy is tied in very closely with our overall corporate strategy, and that is a strategy of an all-electric future. So it's clear that as we move to EVs, that changes the raw material needs for ourselves and for our entire automotive industry. That hasn't changed our expectations of what a responsible supply chain needs to be at all. In fact, I think this space is evolving, and I like the challenges on increasing transparency and accountability deeper into the supply chain. Working with Better Minds has really helped us to achieve our objectives within this really important space of artisanal and small mines. GM is on this all EV future. If I could just give a few stats to give a sense to all the members of what we're doing. We've committed to a product mix that encompasses 30 electric vehicles by 2025. That also aligns with our zero emissions vision. And therefore, as I said previously, it's all important that the mineral requirements and expectations follow along to meet those needs. Considering roughly that 2/3 of the world's supply of cobalt comes from the DRC, and of that 15 to 30% comes from artisanal mining, initiatives like Better Mining are very important. You play a very important role. We do together in making sure that these minerals are ethically sourced. So a couple of other points that I'd like to make on Better Mining. I really appreciate the transparency from this OEM level that I get through being a member of Better Mining. It really allows us to understand what is going on the ground, and then it makes the improvements measurable and we can see the progress. The ability to have visibility at the mine site through your direct on-the-ground monitoring is a great benefit as well that you offer where others just have not gone there yet, for sure. That visibility gives us the opportunity to understand the challenges that are happening on the ground, and then moving from the challenge to the action is the other piece that it brings. You give us the ability to monitor progress on the infrastructure, and that allows us to be very proactive in building strategies to address these risks. So as I wrap up, I would just say that we're very excited about the growth and about the achievements that Better Mining has had. It makes us proud to be members and supporters. And it's our hope that more companies will join this initiative. I'd love for us to continue to support in any way possible to get the word out. I was recently in a call with a GM investor, and they recognized the work that Better Mining was doing. That was very powerful to me, that a GM investor is investing because of the work that we are collectively doing through the Better Mining initiative. And I think that is a big thing for us to all take a moment to pause to think about. Our investors, the CSOs, the people on the ground, our supply chains, the globe, everybody needs for us to tackle these important issues and make a difference. And it's being recognized and noticed in more and more places. So with that, Anna, I'll turn it back to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fred. It's really interesting to hear that journey that GM is going through and really going beyond compliance. I particularly liked what you said, that the moving from identifying the challenge and then moving into action, that's a very, very powerful phrasing used there. I'm definitely retaining that. So moving on, and in fact, having you, Fred, as our first speaker is from General Motors is a great way to introduce the next few minutes that I'm going to be talking, where I'm actually focusing on that support. So Fred, thanks again. You really gave me a very good entry to talk about the supporters that Better Mining has. We are very grateful for that support, and the work that we do would not be possible without the backing and support. Over the past year, we added 5 new major corporate supporters. One of them was General Motors, but that's not to take away from the other very important supporters that we have that are listed here. The 5 new ones from this year. We have Ford Motor Company, who will we will be hearing about in just a few minutes. We also have Google, we have LG Electronics, we also have CATL, which is the world's largest battery maker. And I just need to take a minute here because this truly speaks to the incredible backing and support that Better Mining is having. To have these household names amongst our supporters is something we are very proud of, and it really motivates us to continue our work every day. Another sector that we work quite closely with, and it is really important to us, is also the development sector. The past year, we also grew our work there, and it's a sector that can really leverage our presence on the ground to really come up with innovative partnerships and collaborations. The past year, we delivered work hand in hand with partners such as the German Development Agency, GIZ, or NGOs such as Global Communities. And this work would not have been possible without support from governments such as through, for example, the US Department of Labor or the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, amongst others. And on that note of the collaboration and partnerships with the development sector, we are particularly excited of having launched a collaboration, a technical collaboration with UNICEF. And that is a collaboration that is really focused on deepening child labor remediation, which brings me to a very good way to introduce our next speaker today, who is Daniella Savic. Over to you, Daniella.
Thank you, Anna. Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to ensure that you can see me and hear me since I'm calling from the DRC and usually the connection is a bit difficult. Are you all set? Perfect, thank you. So yeah, my name is Daniella Savic. I'm in charge of partnerships at UNICEF DRC. I'm very pleased to join this webinar and thanks for RCS to organize this discussion. And here, what I would like to do today is to first of all, if you allow me to refresh the minds about UNICEF's mandate, and then also presenting our collaboration with the RCS Global Better Mining Program, and give you some perception of from the ground. So each year, UNICEF protects and supports millions of children, and this is obviously around the world and through development and humanitarian emergency programs, but also through advocacy and partnerships. Our priority is really in finding systematic and sustainable solutions at scale. So we don't work in very localized areas. And we want these solutions to have a long-lasting impact on the prosperous development and well-being of the vulnerable children that we serve. So to introduce the project or the collaboration that we have with RCS, so as part of the UNICEF Mitigating Child Rights Deprivation in ASM Communities project, which is currently financed by the BMZ German Cooperation Fund called We Stop Child Labor, our collaboration with the RCS Global Better Mining Program aims at co-developing and piloting a toolkit for mine operators and supply chain stakeholders in order to better identify child rights violations and implement best practice social protection measures in the ASM context. As part of the collaboration, Better Mining on-site presence and technology allow us as UNICEF to better contextualize the understanding and monitoring of child rights violation here in the DRC in the 3TG and 2Cs, copper and cobalt ASM communities. Since these mining communities' living conditions are strongly connected to what is happening on site and vice versa, the Better Mining program became naturally complementary to our work. And let me give you an example here. So if RCS identifies, for example, an increase of children on site, UNICEF through its program will be able to analyze the root cause at the community level. And those could, for example, be teacher strikes or closures of schools, pandemics, natural disasters affecting the availability of drinking water and food, security issues, which are increasing now in the East, unfortunately, and etc. So we are also aware of the impact Better Mining has already had in shining a light on the specific challenge of child labor in ASM and in delivering ongoing actionable insights and data on risk and incidents. We know that in 2021 alone, Better Mining identified through our project 148 child labor incidents across all better mining ASM sites, of which half were considered as the worst form of child labor. But on the other hand, and this is where you see the complementary, UNICEF study, which was conducted at the community level around those sites, identified that around 58,000 children were victims of child labor within the 2Cs, copper and cobalt communities, against 98,000 children in the East or the 3TGs areas. So we conclude that child rights infringements linked to artisanal mining are prevalent across minerals and geographies in the DRC, and those children really need your immediate support, because if we don't want to have future lost generation in the DRC, urgent action is needed so that we can reintegrate those young people and avoid that they are socially and economically excluded, which might leave millions of dollars also on the table every year, as they are every day receiving an inadequate education or not decent, or they are not decently employed, and which cannot contribute productively to the society. So let's see how we programmatically work together on the ground. So our collaboration brings together better mining's responsible sourcing expertise and permanent presence on ASM sites with the reach and child protection experience of UNICEF. Through a joint effort, we are actively working to co-develop and test actionable guidances, or corrective actions, as the Better Mining program calls it. And this for upstream and downstream stakeholders, for them to be able, or for you to be able to identify, prevent and mitigate child labor in artisanal mining, and most of all from a children's rights lens, because this is for us, as UNICEF, very important that we look at the children's rights, since those are identified as the root causes of child labor. So this mineral agnostic and globally applicable toolkit is now to be piloted in 2 better mining monitored sites in the 3TGs and 2Cs in the DRC. And these corrective actions aligns with the best practices of UNICEF on child protection. And it will be tested and integrated into this toolkit that will be made publicly available. So this technical collaboration is highly innovative, as the children's rights mitigation measures of the toolkit will be integrated into Better Mining's digital application, complementing its current database of other mitigation measures for a variety of risk in the ASM sector. But we're very happy to be able to work with RCS and to ensure that this variety of risk will now include children's rights risk. So this allows the immediate replication of the approach across the mines already in the program and fast-tracking direct and practical impact. As a result, ASM stakeholders such as cooperatives, mine operators, state agents, communities, civil society, we hope that they will be equipped with the guidance and tools that they would need to implement a holistic approach to tackling child labor in the communities. But through the toolkit, we also think and target downstream companies and international actors, including donor agencies and NGOs, to encourage coordinated efforts on the grounds, because we have noticed that a lot of esteemed and valuable interventions are actually too often being created or developed in silo, which hampers us from having impact at scale. But also, we hope that through this toolkit, we will be able to better direct investment in upstream initiatives and work together to strengthen existing systems in place to fight child labor in the ASM context. So the outcome of the project will feed into wider child labor initiatives, such as the Alliance 8.7 platform, which safeguards the Sustainable Development Goal of eliminating child labor, in addition to driving real impact on the ground in ASM communities. So why is our partnership important with Better Mining? So while organizations like us, UNICEF, have the experience and expertise to develop interventions and work deeply inside communities, programs like Better Mining fill the data gaps and gives us the ability to reach ASM sites. because UNICEF does not have the mandate to work on site. So our collaboration is an excellent example of how quality data and better mining corrective actions process could be a catalyst for development progress in mining communities. Through our collaboration, we also hope to enabling the successful scaling and expansion of solutions by providing ongoing data that tell us as the development partner what is working and what isn't. So public-private collaboration like ours also give potential supporters, such as global brands and buyers, an opportunity to be part of something which is sector-wide and much bigger than one single organization. And by investing in our project, downstream actors and global brands could generally affect real sector-wide positive change. So I will end here and I will be happy to take any questions later. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniella, for your insightful contribution, and Better Mining is really proud to be partnering with you on this project, and we really hope that it becomes a success in the next months whilst we'll be piloting this toolkit together. Thank you everyone for having joined our webinar today. My name is Eugénie, Valentin. As Anna mentioned, I'll be presenting our success stories with you in how we have improved human rights under 3 pillars. The first being fighting child labor, the second, advancing women's rights, and the third, remediating security threats on mine sites. As Daniella mentioned, child labor remains a persistent issue across the ASM industry. In cobalt alone, it's estimated that around 35,000 children are involved in ASM mining activities. During the time reporting in the impact reports that will be published later today, Better Mining identified 240 cases of child labor, in which nearly half of these cases were worse forms of child labor, such as washing minerals or transporting raw materials on mine sites. One of these mine sites stood out in particular in the reporting period with an increase of child labor incidents. Nonetheless, from 33 incidents of children working on the site, we were able to reduce this to 7 incidents in the following quarter of our reporting period, achieving a close 80% reduction rate within a 3-month time frame. And this is an incredible success rate, and you might wonder how we did this. A key part of this response was the engagement with the mining cooperative at the site. With an engaged mining cooperative or mining operator, several strands of these activities were a dedicated task force focused specifically on remediating child labor incidents. That dedicated team led to other activities, including workshops and engagement with parents or guardians or the mining community. In this case, it was the continued engagement with local stakeholders that was key to achieve such a successful outcome. And as a result, cases of child labor significantly dropped, showing the importance of Better Mining's strong risk mitigation plans. However, it's also important to highlight that child labor does not entirely vanish, which is in itself extremely difficult to achieve in the ASM industry, where access control to mine sites is not fully established, and also taken into consideration the regional-wide poverty. With the UNICEF and RCS partnership, we're working to provide tools and activities, as Daniella mentioned, to both stakeholders in the upstream and downstream sector to reduce and prevent any forms of child labor and child right violations on ASM sites. The second success story that I would like to highlight here is advancing women's rights by protecting and expanding women's participations in the mining industry. Gender dynamics and social norms play a key role in how women and girls live in ASM communities. These women, including underage women, are especially vulnerable to human rights abuses, sexual and gender-based violence, discrimination, and health risks. In addition, social norms and cultural taboos often interfere with their ability to work and prevent them from entering the ASM mine sites. In 2021, Better Mining interventions on several mine sites have been successful in addressing gender-based violence and gender-based discrimination. We did this by contributing to the closure of 2 brothels in a mining town linked to a supply chain, as well as constructive dialogues and opening access for women on a mine site with discriminatory limitations on mine site access. We did this through the means of open dialogue and strong stakeholder engagement. In the case of gender-based violence, in 2020, when we were conducting risk assessments, Better Mining had identified cases of sexual exploitation of underage girls linked to the two brothels previously mentioned, which triggered risk alerts for gender-based violence and sexual exploitation. By addressing this risk through strong stakeholder engagement, a consortium consisting of governmental authorities and civil society were able to restore law and order in the mining town, including the closure of these two brothels. In the second case, we identified the restriction of women's rights in that women were not allowed to fully participate in mining activities on a mine site. Through the means of open dialogue, Better Mining contributed to a behavior change through the means of engaging with the community and the operator and the workers on the mine site and allowed for women to participate in certain mining activities. In both of these scenarios, we engage with stakeholders to support solutions that would have a long-term effect. And I invite you to read further of these case studies in our impact report, which will be published today. We're really proud to see how Better Mining's interventions through corrective action plans led to an initial shift in behavior and norms, and we strive to replicate this across our project and engage in strengthening women's rights in the ASM community space. The third success in improving human rights under this report is through the remediation of security sites. In 2021, Better Mining continued this improving human rights conditions in and around ASM sites where security risks were a reality. And we did this by conducting and supporting missions in the removal of rogue military forces across ASM sites. In a geopolitical context where security is quite volatile in the Great Lakes region, the success of these interventions and mitigation brought further peace and security to mine sites and their communities, while critically ensuring a responsible supply chain and providing access to the international market of raw materials. With Better Mining's field agents permanently based on grounds, we were able to quickly identify rogue military agents implicated in illegal mining activities. And in both of these highlighted cases, rapid risk mitigation plans were designed by Better Mining and assigned to a multi-stakeholder consortium. Activities such as temporary closure of mine sites, training on human rights, and workshops on due diligence led to the reopening of these mine sites 60 days later after all of these actions were successfully implemented. And Better Mining's actions required the engagement and accountability of these stakeholders to ensure that these strategies and implementation procedures were done successfully. And our approach in both of these cases really highlights the success and determination of Better Mining to ensure that these sites and their supply chains are protected from insecurity and allowing for rapid remediation plans. Both sites were able to re-establish mineral trading and ensured responsibly sourced minerals would continue to have the access to international markets of free TG minerals. With these highlighted success stories presented today, I hope that I've shown you how Better Mining strive in improving human rights across the ASM industry is proven across this, and how our proactive way forward has been highlighted in doing this. Further detail on these studies can be found in the impact report, as Anna mentioned. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce our next panelist, Erin Mitchell from Intel Group, who has kindly contributed her words for today.
Thank you, Eugénie. As I mentioned earlier, we have a video that Erin sent us. So I'm just going to press the play button, and do send me a message if you're having troubles listening to the audio. I hope it works well.
I'm Erin Mitchell, and I'm the Responsible Minerals Program Manager at Intel. Intel has been a leader in responsible mineral sourcing, and we understand the need to support continuous improvement in the artisanal mining sector. Over recent years, we have built on the experience from applying our responsible sourcing approach in 3TG and begun to expand this to other artisanal mined materials, most notably cobalt. Addressing risks as they emerge from the expanding scope of minerals and geographies is an essential part of our corporate responsibility strategy. Better Mining's and agnostic program has been a critical tool on this journey, as the program directly monitors and addresses risks in a meaningful way. It is also dynamic enough to enable us to apply our own advanced due diligence requirements to the monitoring scope. Supporting Better Mining's work allows us to monitor annual changes in strategic materials. This is notably evident in publications such as Better Mining's 2020 and 2021 OECD Step 5 annual reports, which showcase the program's work on 3T supply chains. These reports have demonstrated how a scaled database model, such as Better Mining, can advance transparency, understanding, as well as risk mitigation and impact creation in supply chains, leading to a win-win, improving due diligence and assurance processes, and improving conditions for the communities involved in and around ASM mines. As a sector, the focus on due diligence interests has now broadened considerably beyond 3TG, which is a positive trend as companies work together toward responsible sourcing and safeguarding human rights through our mineral supply chains. Being able to leverage Better Mining to make sure the expansion happens in a systematic and consistent fashion is incredibly helpful for us and for downstream companies in general. It also directly supports our responsible sourcing policy commitment to collaborate with industry and stakeholder partners to enable long-term solutions to responsible sourcing. For these reasons, we would encourage our fellow travelers to join us in supporting this program. A focus for us, as outlined in our responsible sourcing policy, is to apply our leading 3TG due diligence approach to a growing range of additional minerals, including cobalt. For us, Better Mining's mineral agnostic programs for mineral assurance enable us to scale our approach rapidly and consistently while gaining access to constant data to assess performance. At Intel, we also want to make sure we go beyond a risk-based approach and deliver a responsible sourcing strategy, which can make meaningful positive changes to communities. With Better Mining, we have the ability to monitor trend analysis at the mine level. This in turn provides specific insights into areas where capacity building is needed. We can then take that data and determine if and how we may be able to work with development partners to deliver improvements in a specific ASM context and then monitor the impact we are having. We are looking forward to the expansion of Better Mining and encourage other companies to join us in this effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna, and thanks to Erin Mitchell for her contributions here. It's really crucial, I think, for downstream companies to understand the trend analysis, but also to receive live data, as Erin so well mentioned. The second of the core themes of the Better Mining's 2022 impact report is advancing digitalization and transparency. And we have made significant progress in 2022, specifically in 3 key areas. The first one is the impact theme of inclusion. Better Mining every day generates robust assurance data stream for its presence and identified and coding ASM sites. We enable those ASM actors who prove to be committed to better practices to participate in global assured responsibly sourced mineral value chains. And we do so on the back of significant investment into RCS Global Group's digital platform, Vine, which creates technological foundation to include Better Mining assured ASM supplies in a version of the battery passport, which we are working on as a member of the Global Batteries Alliance's GBA. The second key area is enhanced mineral control demonstration through digital product traceability implementation. We've made significant progress here as we continue to replicate our solution RCS Trace into new materials and across more mine sites. 5 years ago, RCS Global traced the first 3T shipment from Rwanda, followed by the first shipment in DRC 3 years later. We have since expanded our digital traceability to gold and have begun to pilot RCS Trace on a Better Mining monitored cobalt copper ASM site. Overall, RCS is proud to announce that we have digitally traced 275 Better Mining validated exports from DRC and Rwanda and that have successfully entered the international market. And our digital traceability implementation is not only critical for the due diligence efforts of midstream purchasers of ASM material, but can also be used for downstream companies to understand which exact Better Mining assured ASM sites are reported to be in their supply chain. The report speaks more about this, which will be published today. The third area is transforming companies' conflict minerals reporting through public reporting in the form of Better Mining's OECD Step 5 report that Anna mentioned previously at the start of our webinar, while also providing better data to host governments to support their efforts to better manage and govern the ASM sector. If you are an SEC reporting or an EU conflict minerals regulation affected company, our reporting is an extremely valuable tool for you to understand your risk exposure in the upstream, while also being able to integrate a robust process in your risk management reporting. You can download the latest report published this week from our website. Advancing digitalization and transparency is a key value add of Better Mining, both for industry and government, while our public webinars and reports also add value to civil society. And we are proud that they can be used to better global responsible sourcing efforts. On that note, I would like now to introduce Kerri Abbott, who advances responsible material sourcing at Ford Motor Company. Thank you for your contribution, Kerri.
Hello, Kerri Abbott from Ford Motor Company. I want to thank you today for inviting me to provide Ford's insights on how Better Mining aligns with Ford's strategy to improve conditions on the ground for artisanal miners. The transition to electrification is increasing attention on how we secure critical minerals needed to support our electrical vehicle batteries and mitigate potential human rights issues. For example, demand for cobalt is increasing, which is largely sourced from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Sourcing the minerals needed for EVs without contributing to forced and child labor is a significant challenge that we can only solve through collaboration with miner smelters, refiners, and organizations like Responsible Mineral Initiative and Better Mining. While we seek improvements to protect human rights and the environment throughout mineral supply chains, we also seek to ensure further improvements of conditions in artisanal and small miners around the world and in the DRC. ASM is a known part of the global mineral value chains that provide a livelihood to many, but is associated with human rights and working condition risks that companies need to help mitigate without negatively impacting miners' opportunities for livelihood. In 2021, Ford signed the Action Pledge for the UN's International Year for the Elimination of Child Labor. And we look forward to working with Better Mining to help contribute to positive impact, helping to eliminate children working in the mines and other human rights abuses. Better Mining is unique in that it focuses on improving conditions on ASM sites and helps enable responsible sourcing of ASM produced material. Their approach includes an on-the-ground presence through localized teams that help provide data and insights into what happens at monitored ASM sites. However, while it is very valuable to know about the risks at the ASM sites, it is definitely not enough. And Better Mining implements an improvement process in response to identified risks within the context of the realities that the local stakeholders really face. For example, Better Mining's corrective action plans approach can be a critical driver of behavior change on ASM sites. In the last year, Better Mining recorded over 2,000 incidents and closed their 1,000th recommended site level improvement activity. While data shows the scale of the challenge, it also shows that progress is possible when empowering local actors such as ASM cooperatives, and through training can lead to reduced child labor and mitigate human rights risks. Better Mining is a great example of a strategic program that's aligned with our overall ESG strategy through its proven scalability, growth, and impact. As a downstream company, we understand ASM material may be entering our supply chains. With our complex supply chain, supporting sector-wide programs such as Better Mining is really critical and has proven to create improvement in the upstream supply chain while providing results and meaningful engagement that will help improve conditions in the ASM sector. I thank you for your time today, and I really look forward to working together through the Better Mining program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anna. And thank you for the previous panelists who show us how Better Mining is making an impact on improving condition of mining communities and best practices on ISM side. On my side, I would like now to introduce to you how better mining works in close collaboration with mining stakeholders for behavior change in the sectors toward best practices in ISM sectors. Better mining is working with cooperatives and state partners on the ground to implement best practices. Our objective is to establish the use of best practice to improve mining condition and enhance ESG practices. This objective, as it developed in more detail in the report that will be published today, is achieved through a daily interaction with ISM cooperative and mining state services on each site where we are deployed, in a way to reinforce their capacity in best practices, but also helps them to take the ESG practices like the daily management process. We are doing capacity in different way, capacity building, sorry, in different way, but most important in such a way that is not a one-way training. Instead, we encourage a collaborative approach where they can develop with better mining staff a risk management plan according to the reality on the ground. During the past 12 months, 50 training on best practices recommended by Better Mining through the collaborative mitigation action process were delivered across DRC and Rwanda. As a result of that, Better Mining Cooperative has demonstrated an improved understanding of international expectation and begin integrating principles of the OECD 5-step framework into their work processes, allowing them to better engage in risk management. The reports that you will read after that and that will be published present a number of case studies, including the DRC GIZ-funded project in which Better Mining helped the cooperative build their capacity to self-manage their site by identifying risk and, more importantly, finding solutions to address them. We have recorded about 19% implementation rate for this cooperative, which is a great result. Those successes are registered in both of our offices, in DRC and Rwanda. But besides the capacity building, Better Mining is engaging into an active communication methodology as well. This is in order to reach as much as possible people and work toward a behavior change in the mining sector and the community both in Rwanda and DRC. For example, in Rwanda, based on Better Mining recommendation as part of the mitigation action plan, a mining operator organized a story writing competition with 27 local schools in surrounding area and involved more than 20,000 students under the age of 18. The result is that the change are not only observed in the ISM cooperative and community where we are working, but also in those that we are not. This shows how the Better Mining methodology can reach actors without having a direct intervention with them and the importance of having a champions in a process of behavior change. On the other hand, Better Mining believes that the governments play a crucial role in the sustainability and improvement of the ISM sector, especially when it came to ESG. To that end, Better Mining engage constantly with the government, decision maker or technician, because the more government know about the reality of the ISM sectors, the more they can help the sectors and the more likely conditions in the sector are to improve. The reports that we are going to publish explain how through regular meeting and quarterly update with the state agency and government, Better Mining data can be used for government decision making and improvement in the sectors. Over the past 12 months in GSC, we are proud to say that we consolidated our collaboration with the GSC government, where over 20 in-person meetings with all technical services in Kinshasa were held, and how Better Mining expertise can be used to improve the implementation of best practices in responsible mining in GSC, and where close to 100 state services participate in Better Mining on-ground training. In Rwanda, Better Mining builds capacity of 22 Rwanda state field agents on implementing due diligence and traceability, covering risk highlighted in the OECD diligence guidance, among other topics. Rwanda state agents left this training with an understanding of due diligence and its application on ISM site. Better Mining collaborates with the Rwanda State Agency on visiting over 20 mining sites across Better Mining Monitor site, ISM, in order to inspect working conditions and to ensure that sites are met national health and safety regulation. After the training, we saw that collaboration between the state agency in charge of ISM sector and other ISM stakeholders such as ISM cooperatives, mining operators, ISM community representative drastically improved. So all to say that Better Mining has been for almost 8 years on ground, working in DRC and Rwanda, and we have seen change happening on the ground, despite all that remains to be done. But we believe that Better Mining works play an important role in that change. I will not be too long, and I think I will stop here. But you will find more example and more success story on our methodology in the report that will be published today. And you can see the impact that Better Mining has on ISM sector in GRC and Rwanda, and how change can be made through capacity building by implementing best practices, continuous field presence on the site, and having a close engagement with stakeholders. Thank you very much, and wish you I wish that I will get some question after at the end of this webinar or after you read our report. And thank you very much, Anna.
Thank you so much, Armel. And indeed, building that capacity locally and the work with local partners is principal to our successes. We are nearing the hour, so just in time for the wrap up and conclusion of today's webinar. I would just like to quickly make a note and also mention here that today's webinar and our impact report are not glossing over certain challenges and limitations that we all are aware exist in the ASM sector. These do exist, and we actually have a dedicated section to them in the report where we reflect on these challenges with examples such as weak market incentives or knock-on effects from risk remediation. However, despite limitations and challenges, we are motivated by the success, and Better Mining does continue to work towards achieving its principal goal, which is the improvement of lives of people who live and work in ASM communities. And to achieve this goal, we need a strategy, which you can see a snippet of on this slide, and it's articulated around 3 priority areas. The first one being the digitalization. As has been mentioned today in the webinar, we really place a strong emphasis on the digital solutions and the power that these can provide. A second area is that of the impact. So obviously we strive to continue to maintain that high standard and quality of work that we have been delivering so far. So we're challenging ourselves to keep up that good work and to maintain that 80% implementation rate of corrective actions while we expand to new geographies and commodities. And last but not least, quite importantly, is the deepening our engagement on the ground and in the form of partnerships. We have mentioned today, and we've discussed these days with examples such as the partnership and collaboration with UNICEF. These are very important, and they have proven to be impactful and a cornerstone of our work. We are open to discussing new and innovative partnerships, both with the development and the private sector. So today we have seen a few examples of how Better Mining has positively impacted over 55,000 miners, but we can reach more than that. And the last 2 years of our operations have proven that. We have seen how Better Mining is a scalable, sustainable program with incredible transformational power. We are changing ASM communities, and that is being done one corrective action at a time. A lot more can be done with more partners on board. So we are really encouraging you to join us and to be a part of this change. You can send us an email or give us a call, and we'll be more than happy to chat about partnerships or different ways of collaborating. And lastly, and just to close the loop with what we said at the start, a reminder that our 2 reports have been published today. They are hot off the press, and they will be available in French shortly. do reach out to us if you would like to receive copies of these, but they are available to download from our website. So with that, I would really like to thank once again our speakers today. I would like to thank my team for all the hard work and dedication, and thank all of you for joining us today and wishing you a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.